Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Grimolia, the president and CEO here at Woodland Pond at New Paltz. And today is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. And this is my daily address. So I do have a wide variety of topics that I would like to cover. But one of the things that I realized is that sometimes my addresses coincide with people at Woodland Pond's birthday. So if on a Tuesday from now on, it is your birthday, and I am aware of it, I will wish you a happy birthday. So happy birthday to Barbara Mittenberg today. I hope you enjoy your day. The next best news on campus is that we do not have any known or suspected cases of COVID on campus at this time. We are continuing all of our existing testing as we've been doing for many, many months here in the health center for sure. We were actually anticipating that the legislature was going to potentially modify those requirements for health center staff and residents in light of the progress that's been made here in New York State with COVID. However, their session will be ending at the end of this week, and we have it on very good information that there will be no changes to the testing mandates for staff or residents of the health center, at least until the next legislative session. So we're going to keep our eye on that. We did make a decision effective June 1st that for staff members at Woodland Pond that are only working in independent living and do not provide any kind of direct or hands-on care at all, that if you are vaccinated, you no longer need to be tested on a weekly basis if you are a staff member. So that is some progress that we made on June 1st here in independent living. All staff are still required, of course, to mask while on site, and unvaccinated staff members are required to double mask, and then all of the remaining testing mandates are still in effect on campus. So incremental progress, but not too many jumps forward. So I thought I'd mention that. That did come up from a question from a family member this morning. So I just wanted to cover that. I want to just talk briefly about something. I am going to put this in a memo today, but just literally hot off the presses. We had been notified last week, maybe the week before, that the New York State Department of Health was going to require us to work with our families for assisted living, garden view, and skilled nursing residents to implement a new program that is going to be required by the state, and it needs to be in effect here at our community by June 15th. Now, this applies to all skilled nursing facilities and all adult care facilities here in New York. And it's most simply described as the establishment of a compassionate caregiver program in your communities. And what this serves to do, and this is literally late breaking, so this is the first many of you are going to hear about this. Again, you will be getting a written memo about this from me, and those that live in the health center will get individual outreach on this. But essentially, the state is asking that every resident of a skilled nursing facility or an adult care facility like we have, which is what assisted living and garden view are called, that you be permitted to and asked to by us name 2 compassionate caregivers. So these are 2 people that are in your life that you would have previously identified to us, that will be identified in our system as an compassionate caregiver. And so this is different than an emergency contact, although it could be the same person or people. But this is specifically in the mind of the state to identify somebody that under almost any circumstances, these are people that are pre-identified for you that could be welcomed into Woodland Pond in a compassionate caregiver role, regardless of what's going on in the community at large, including the pandemic or other things. So the state really has taken into account and recognizes that the mandates that they put on visiting and restricting visitors has been very detrimental to our health center residents, especially. So I think this is an incredible step forward. I think that this is a great recognition by the state that everyone needs to have access to some type of caregivers that aren't facility staff, pandemic notwithstanding. So in the next week, because as I said, this really has to be accomplished by the 15th of June. Every resident of skilled nursing, Garden View, and assisted living or their representatives will be contacted by our staff, and we've got a team that's deployed and ready to work on this, to have identified 2 compassionate caregivers for you, so that we can have those on record, and that those are people that can be permitted additional visitation rights with you, regardless of what other conditions are going on. So I wanted to announce that. I know that, there's a lot of things that have been discussed about the challenges that were created and have been continually created by visitor shutdowns. And this is a great step forward. So I will put this in a memo today, and then each of you, again, if you live in assisted living, Garden View, or skilled nursing, or are a family member of such, you will be contacted in the next week or so to have 2 compassionate caregivers identified per resident. The next thing, and I will also include this in a memo today because I'm just exceedingly proud of this. I had an opportunity to, and I'll just pull the data up. I don't just grab it in front of me. I had an opportunity today for something that I was working on to really analyze data that's been made available by the New York State Department of Health related to how long-term care facilities and retirement communities across the state have fared in terms of their, COVID counts on campus and so forth. And focusing on resident deaths that have occurred at a particular facility or community, or have occurred at a hospital, but originated at the senior living or long-term care facility. The numbers are really striking. And I think that we've all sort of known that Woodland Pond fared better so far than the rest. We're not out of this by any means, but so far we've fared better. And directly attributable to COVID, you do all know, I think at this point, that we did unfortunately lose one resident that had contracted the virus and suffered the effects of the virus and passed away. And that was just in April. So Woodland Pond's count is 1 in terms of directly attributable deaths related to the virus. Just pulling the averages from the 4 counties that surround Woodland Pond, so Ulster, Dutchess, Orange, and Greene, the average number of deaths in such communities and facilities is 19.2. That's the average. There were some facilities that had numbers into the 70s in terms of deaths. And when I think about how many other cases there must have been beyond just, unfortunately, people that succumb to the virus, and I look at how successful we have been, I just have so much appreciation for our staff, our families, our residents. You've all been so dedicated, our infection control team, our leadership. 1 compared to the average of 19.2 just in facilities in our surrounding 4 counties is remarkable. I also looked at, compared just strictly to continuing care retirement communities across the state. So there's 12 of them across the state. The average resident deaths to date recorded by the state for CCRC is 11.5. So again, Woodland Pond is far below that. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm so thankful for everyone that has played a role in us being able to tell this story. I don't think we're out of the woods on this yet, but I think that we've learned so much, and that if and when this makes a resurgence, and it probably will at some point, we will be that much more prepared. So thank you to everyone on that, and one day at a time, but great job so far. Now I have some announcement-y type things from my department heads and so forth. My first and foremost is my own announcement. Some of you may have met Cameron Ilgner. She is an intern that is with us and will be with us through December. She's working on completing her Master's of Health Administration from Hofstra, and she'll be here several days a week working through all the different departments within the community. She's hit the ground running. She has been welcomed to resident council meetings, skilled nursing and assisted living nursing reports, finance committee meeting with the residents yesterday. She's got a full calendar, and she will actually be attending some board meetings and committee meetings. So expect to see Cameron. And if you think that you might have a need for where an intern could help you with something, just let us know. All right, let's see. We have from Tom Tango, and this is very important and timely. This last several days have been, for a lot of us, the first time that our HVACs or our air conditioning units have gotten a summer workout because we've had a little bit of a heat wave. So it's very, very, very important that if you have any concerns about your air conditioning unit in your apartment, cottage, or room in the health center, or if you're a staff member hearing this and you have a concern about any air conditioning in any area where a resident could be impacted, it's absolutely critical that you call concierge right away to report that. Like everything else post-COVID, there are supply chain issues with equipment. There are a number of complicated factors in terms of how quickly we're able to access the things that we need to fix or rectify problems with air conditioning units right now. So timely reporting of any concerns is absolutely critical. So please, if you have any concerns that your unit is not working properly, please call right away and ask the concierge to put in a work order for you. We have some alternatives and we do have access to things, but time is of the essence on these things because of some of these supply chain issues and so forth. The other thing that I just want to mention, and I know that we talk about this every year, and I know that it's a challenge for folks, but our air conditioning units and heating units throughout the entire campus, my office, the PAC, your homes, the dining room, it's an either or situation. So they only work properly if just that unit is on and you do not have your windows and doors open. The minute that you open your windows and doors and turn those units on, whether it be for heat or for cold, they are not designed to work that way. So having the window open or the door open and having your units on for HVAC are not going to work successfully here at Woodland Pond. These are designed to be closed air systems where the air sources and air supply for those units are coming directly from the design ductwork, from the rooftop units and so forth. And the minute that outdoor air is introduced into that, that is when we see the most malfunctions. So please, if you're going to have those units on, you've got to have your windows shut tightly and your doors shut tightly. That is the number one issue that we see with these units freezing up. So you can either select to use the fresh air, which will either be hot or cold, depending on what Mother Nature says it's going to be, or you need to use your units in your apartments and cottages and rooms. They're pretty much mutually exclusive, especially when there's any kind of temperature extremes like we have right now. The other note is that we are, as we have people's units trying to kick on, we are finding, especially in ground floor units, and this mainly applies to the cottages, that there is a lot of mice damage in a lot of these units. And unfortunately, as much as we all don't want to recognize this and hate the thought of this, a lot of that comes from birdseed. So one of the things that we can do to prevent damage to our HVAC units, which are very attractive to mice, especially in the winter because they generate heat, is to not utilize birdseed anywhere near any kind of an air conditioning unit, a heating unit, that kind of thing. Or if you do use birdseed, it's always our recommendation at Woodland Pond. And actually, I'm thinking about making this a strict policy just because of so much damage that we're seeing due to, mice and the attraction of snakes and so forth from birdseed, that we may move to a system where we require birdseed that is already shelled. We're going to look at that. I'll talk to the Residents Council about that. Obviously, that would be preferable because then you don't have the shells coming down, which is what attracts all of the little critters. So if you have an opportunity to buy a birdseed that is already shelled, that's our preference. And that will cut down on some of that damage as well. Okay, from Gretchen. Gretchen has asked me to remind everyone that this Friday is our 10th annual garden tour, which is just amazing. The garden tour is a highlight on this campus every June. That will be this Friday, and it looks like the weather is going to be beautiful. And there are going to be self-guided tour maps available at the pub. And of course, we recommend appropriate footwear and, a hat if you are going to be out strolling around enjoying the gardens. But I certainly will be out there, and that will be great. And we will have some prospective residents joining us, as we always do. They love to see the gardens in bloom. So thank you to all of our gardeners. And certainly, if you have a friend that would like to join you for the garden tour, they are welcome to do so. And we just ask that you let concierge know if you're expecting to bring anyone. And then we'll let you know if they need to have a rapid test or not. Right after this broadcast today, Gretchen also asked me to share with you that there will be a brief video aired that was reflective of a ceremony and a dedication that took place. Yakov Pittman will share that video with us, and this was for the dedication of Ray and Ann Smith's Beaver Pond. As we all know, Ray and Ann were just, and are, Ray continues to be, just such lovers of our the woodland pond, and that the observation platform and the platform that was dedicated to them. And so we will air a brief video related to that dedication right after I'm done here. Okay, the next announcement is from the concierge, Jason and Cassidy, and this is extremely important, and it has to do with the switch over from Woodland Pond phone service to Spectrum phone service. So if you are a resident that continues to have phone service through Woodland Pond, and you would know that because you have a 4-digit extension and you get a bill from Woodland Pond each month for your phone, if you have not taken the steps yet to switch your phone, you have to do so by this Friday. That is the drop deadline to make that first phone call. Cassidy is available and ready to help you. Typically, this process, we have learned, takes multiple phone calls to Spectrum, especially if you wish to keep your phone number. It can be accomplished. Several of you are done with the process, so phew for that. But several of you have not started yet, and the phone service will be shut off. We're getting very close to a shut-off date. So if you have Woodland Pond phone service and you have not begun that process, we need you to contact concierge today so that we can get you scheduled to start working on that. Alternatively, if you've done this yourself and you have switched your phone over successfully, we need you to let concierge know so that we can stop billing you. We will help you with that process, but the deadline on that is quickly approaching, and I will put that in the memo today as well. Mary Jo has asked me to remind all of you that hydration is so critical at this time when it's so hot. And so please make sure that if you're doing any kind of vigorous activity or outdoor activity, that you're drinking plenty of water. The best time of day to drink water for a lot of us is early in the day, so that that can flush through our system as the day goes on. But really being attentive to drinking water is important. Personally, I have found that putting some fresh lime slices in my water, or lemon, and then some ice cubes makes it so much yummier. And that's what I like to drink. And I have a big bottle at my desk that I drink from every day. So just be reminded that water is super important. The next couple of things are general announcement type things. If you have a dog on the campus, and of course we know that we're going to address the pet policy and potential modifications to that, enforcement to that will be covered with the Residents Council next week as a first step. But what's most important to me right now is if you have any incident that you have where you encounter a problem with any kind of an animal or person on campus. This includes a soiling of carpets, incontinence, disruptive behavior by either pet or resident. We need you to report those to concierge right away. Oftentimes we are finding out about things through the grapevine. We are not given specific information about which dog or which resident or which person or whomever is being incontinent or disruptive, or if there's a concern about. We really have to know right away so that we can address those issues as soon as possible. So this is just a friendly reminder that timely reporting is extremely appreciated. We are a no smoking campus. I think most of you know that. We have seen, unfortunately, an uptick in surreptitious smoking on campus, and we have to ask that that stop immediately. This is an issue that just cannot persist on campus. If you are a smoker and you need an opportunity to smoke, you are going to have to leave campus. And it just is something that, we can't make any exceptions about. We certainly can provide guidance about nicotine replacement therapy, and we'd love to help you through that process. But smoking of any type on campus introduces substantial risks to everyone on this campus, both from secondhand smoke, but also from fire. And we have a very strict no smoking policy. So please make sure that you are paying attention to that and honoring that. And the last thing that Ronnie and Sarah both asked me to address. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Ronnie did want me to mention that breakfast sandwiches are back in the pub, which is great. So they're available 5 days a week. So you can go help yourself to an egg and cheese on a croissant or another type of roll. Those are yummy. And starting on Monday, we will be offering some new hot items at the pub. So you'll be able to get a burger, chicken tenders, maybe a hot dog. So look for some new hot items at the pub starting on Monday. And just a couple of last reminders. Currently, everyone that is on this campus indoors, with the exception of vaccinated residents, are expected to wear a mask. That means guests, family members, and so forth. If any of you have a guest that is coming in any common area on our campus, we currently still have a policy that they are required to wear a mask. I understand there's been a couple of folks that have questioned that, but the current policy on our campus, because we do have a high risk population, is that everyone that is not a resident that is vaccinated must wear their mask when they're in any of our common areas, of course, except for the pool. So please help us in reinforcing that with your guests. And we are looking at potentially allowing outside guests of our residents to join you in the dining room and at card games and so forth in July. So as you know, we've been taking a graduated approach to reopening the community. So the next step that we're looking at is potentially allowing those guests indoors at either card games or in the pool or in the dining room around July 1st. So we're not there yet, but we are considering that as our next step, looking at early July. So if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. I'll be in all week, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.